Parenting teenagers can be a challenge under normal circumstances. The pandemic certainly hasn't made it any easier. I spoke with holistic child psychologist Dr. Nicole Beurkens this week about how to navigate enforcing social distancing guidelines, especially when other parents don't.
Can be really challenging right now for teenagers and for parents when things are starting to open back up. Our teens want to be doing more. They may see some of their friends being allowed to do more, parents having differing rules. And so it can be tough. And parents are struggling to determine what the rules should be around things like social distancing, spending time at people's houses, stuff like that, but also how to help their kids understand what their rules are when parents are making different choices.
Absolutely. So, what kind of advice do you have for parents? I think that's so true in so many households. What advice can you give them? Okay, how do we establish these things? How do we even have this conversation?
Yeah, so I think there's several steps that are helpful. The first is to start by listening. Listen to your teens' feelings and their arguments, even if you don't agree with them. Teens really, especially, need to be heard and respected, even when there's disagreement. So start with listening and then empathize. Acknowledge their feelings, empathize with them. Hey, I get that you're feeling frustrated. I understand that you think it's not fair. I agree, none of this feels fair. And really help them to see that you do see their perspective, even if you still are going to enforce the rules that you have, and they have a right to feel frustrated. Then I think we need to educate. Explain to them why you've decided to set whatever rules you've set. Give them the information about what's still going on with the pandemic, what you're seeing that makes you feel like these are important, and ultimately help them to understand that the rules that you're setting are all about health and safety, and that's really what your primary focus is, and not making their life miserable. And then we can go into problem solving, helping them to think through possible solutions. So if they're frustrated, for example, that they can't go to a large gathering with peers, helping them to identify what are some things that you can do, or what could we compromise on, what could we all feel comfortable with, and kind of figuring out how to problem solve those things. And then ultimately, parents need to stand firm. Be willing to stick to your decisions about what you believe is appropriate for your child and your family, even if your teen disagrees or is distressed. And this can be challenging for parents because we don't like it when our kids are upset. But the reality is, we're in charge of making the decisions that we feel are best for their safety and their health. This also provides a really important and positive model for something that we want them to do in their own lives, which is not allow others to influence them on issues that matter and are important to them. We want them to do that with their friends and people in their lives. And so by modeling, sticking to our values and sticking to our rules, even when it's unpopular, that's an important thing for them to learn from too.